Hi guys, Sci-Fi Recapped here. Today I am going to explain the film called Wiplala. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and stay safe. The movie opens in an alternate world. There, Wiplala, a tiny man with magical powers, is running through a forest. As he makes his way to a small tunnel, he turns animals into statues to protect himself from being eaten. The tunnel opens into the real world inside the kitchen cabinet of a young boy named Johannes. Johannes lives with father, sister Nella and pet cat Fly. While playing with his cat, Johannes notices the hole in the cabinet and blocks it with an old newspaper, trapping Wiplala in the real world. Johannes and his sister don't have a mother, so they cook dinner before Mr. Blom returns home from work. Later that night, Johannes notices Wiplala and tells his family about it, but they refuse to believe him. Enraged, he talks about his late mother, saying that she would have believed him. This seemingly upsets Mr. Blom, and before bed, Nella reprimands Johannes for bringing up their late mother and upsetting their father. After everyone goes to bed, Johannes again goes to the kitchen, and to his astonishment, he finds his pet cat frozen like a statue. Puzzled, he looks around and notices Wiplala. The latter tries to run away, but Johannes traps him inside a jar. After Wiplala calms down, Johannes releases him and they acquaint themselves with each other. When Johannes learns that Wiplala froze the cat out of fear, he assures him that the cat is harmless and asks Wiplala to unfreeze the animal. Wiplala agrees, but he ends up turning the cat into a stone statue. It turns out Wiplala is an amateur and he is still learning about his powers. Suddenly, Mr. Blom comes into the kitchen to drink water, so Johannes hides the statue and runs back to his room with Wiplala. The following day, Nella starts looking for the cat, so Johannes asks Wiplala to turn it back to normal. Afraid of making matters worse, Wiplala first tries his magic on a spider. As predicted, he ends up killing the spider by turning it into ash. Suddenly, Nella comes into the room and sees the frozen cat, leaving her stunned. As she is trying to process the situation, Wiplala comes out of hiding and introduces himself. Nella almost drops the cat on the ground, but Johannes catches it and explains to her that Wiplala turned the cat into a statue, but he doesn't know how to undo it. Later that evening, Nella and the other two go out to buy a Christmas tree. On their way back, Johannes' neighbor, Arthur, notices Wiplala and tries to grab him. Unfortunately, the little guy panics and uses his magic to freeze Arthur. This upsets Nella and she orders Wiplala to turn Arthur back to normal. Wiplala reluctantly obliges, but he ends up turning him into a stone statue. After the failed attempt, he gives it another try, but this time, he ends up enlarging Arthur's statue. Soon, Mr. Blom also returns home and he is puzzled to see Arthur's giant statue right outside his home. He calls him on the telephone, but the call goes into voicemail. Mr. Blom then shrugs it off and surprises his children with dinner at a fine restaurant. However, the children aren't pleased and they ask him to take them for a burger instead, but Mr. Blom turns down the request, saying they should be open to new experiences in life. In the next scene, the family takes their seats at the restaurant, and as expected, they are served healthy and expensive but unappealing food. Therefore, Wiplala uses his magic to turn the children's food into hot dog and sushi, much to their relief. However, this attracts the attention of the uptight waiter, and he accuses them of bringing food from outside into the restaurant. Mr. Blom denies the allegation, but the waiter still kicks them out. Enraged, Mr. Blom gets into an argument, and in this process, he accidentally knocks another waiter down, causing the latter to spill hot spaghetti on a patron. The head waiter loses it and he locks the Blom family in the office and calls the police. Mr. Blom starts panicking as an arrest could make him lose his job. Seeing the situation deteriorate, the kids finally come clean and tell their father about Wiplala. Just as Mr. Blom processes this information, the waiter starts approaching with the police. With no other way out, the family ask Wiplala to do something, and the latter quickly turns them into tiny humans. It works and the police return back after reprimanding the hotel for wasting their time. Johannes and others then sneak out of the hotel and Mr. Blom asks Wiplala to turn them back to normal. Johannes warns him against it as Wiplala is still an amateur magician. However, Wiplala reveals that someone from his world might be able to help the net, so the group heads toward the Blom residence. They walk for hours, but they are still not able to scale half the distance to their home. Mr. Blom eventually gets tired, so the group retires for the night at a Chinese restaurant. Everyone falls asleep, but Wiplala stays up as he is upset about his incompetence. It turns out Wiplala ran away from his world because he failed to demonstrate his power. Johannes eventually notices him and offers him some comfort. The following morning, a news channel reports that Arthur's giant statue has created a traffic jam, and the authorities are planning to remove it. This worries Mr. Blom and he decides to immediately head home, vowing to save his friend. He gets carried away and almost gets caught, but Johannes and others save him just in time. Johannes then comes up with an idea, turning a toy car in the store into their conveyance. It works and they head straight towards the Blom residence. On their way, they pass through a park where they crash into a dog. Infuriated, the dog grabs the car with its mouth. In the ensuing struggle, the car's door opens and Mr. Blom falls down, breaking his arm. Seeing him in excruciating pain, Wiplala drives him to the hospital. There, they approach a young patient, hoping she will be more understanding. The girl initially freaks out, but when Johannes explains their situation, she agrees to help. She then speaks with her doctor and convinces him to treat Mr. Blom. After a while, the doctor performs an X-ray of Mr. Blom and plaster his broken arm. Meanwhile, the news reports that the authorities have been unable to remove the statue, so they are planning to demolish it. It is also reported that since Arthur's disappearance, people's interest in his books have increased, skyrocketing their sales. Johannes suggests immediately rushing back home, but Mr. Blom insists on waiting till tomorrow as he has already broken his arm. However, Johannes is worried about Arthur, so after everyone goes to sleep, he wakes Wiplala up and convinces him to accompany him home. He hatches a plan and orders a pizza from a restaurant in his neighborhood. When the delivery boy arrives, the receptionist denies having ordered a pizza. This leads to an argument and the commotion wakes the girl up and she notices Johannes and Wiplala missing. Worried, she quickly informs Nella and Mr. Blom and they rush out of the hospital. The girl then calls out for the delivery guy and engages him in a conversation as Mr. Blom orders Johannes to get off the delivery bike. Mr. Blom says that he had promised Johannes' late mother that they will always stay together no matter what. Hearing this, Johannes eventually agrees and jumps out of the bike while the delivery guy leaves with Wiplala and the pizza. The girl then returns back to the hospital after helping reunite the family. Later, as the Blom family tries to find a way to return home, Wiplala arrives with a conveyance, a pigeon, much to everyone's joy. The group then heads to their destination aboard the pigeon. The kids are excited to ride a bird and Wiplala shows them his stunts. However, this enraged Mr. Blom, so he reprimands Wiplala for fooling around. He orders him to quickly take them to the Wiplala land so they could return to normal. Unfortunately, this breaks Wiplala's confidence and he lands the bird on top of a historical building. He gets emotional and confesses that there's no one left in his world to fix them. It turns out after failing his magic test, everyone mocked him, so he turned them into statues in anger. When he cooled down, he tried to turn them back to normal but without success. At last, he panicked and ran away. Wiplala says that he doesn't want to use magic ever again. This infuriates Mr. Blom and he again starts berating him. Wiplala loses his temper, but this time, he directs it towards a statue of Atlas, bringing it back to life. Atlas puts down the globe and breathes a sigh of relief. Following this, Johannes introduces himself and commends him for carrying the weight of the globe for so long. Atlas responds that nothing's difficult if you act rather than just thinking. The words move Wiplala, and as he gets lost in his thoughts, Mr. Blom slips. Johannes and Nella manage to grab their father, but they also end up falling down with him. Fortunately, Wiplala quickly springs into action. He turns them back to their normal size and helps them land safely. Wiplala has finally gained confidence, and he thanks Atlas for his advice. Meanwhile, Johannes and the others head straight home as the city council arrives with a bulldozer to tear down Arthur's statue. Johannes jumps in front of the bulldozer and tells everyone that the statue is the real Arthur. As expected, no one believes him. They simply start laughing. Left with no options, Johannes reveals Wiplala to the world. This sends everyone into a state of shock. Wiplala then uses his magic to make Arthur's giant statue small, much to everyone's astonishment. After this, Johannes asks Mrs. Arthur to kiss the statue. As she obliges, Wiplala performs his magic and finally brings Arthur back to life. The couple is elated to see one another and they kiss in front of a massive cheering crowd. Mr. Blom also embraces his children and mentions that they are the best son and daughter in the world. Later, Wiplala turns Nella's cat back to normal, much to her joy. He also brings the spider he turned to ash back to life. The children then decorate the Christmas tree and go to bed. Later that night, Johannes wakes up to noises from the kitchen. When he goes to inspect, he finds Wiplala trying to open the portal to his world. Johannes is sad that his new friend is leaving, but he still helps open the door to the Wiplala world. Nella and Mr. Blom also arrive and tearfully bid farewell to Wiplala. The movie ends as Wiplala gives his jacket to Johannes as a gift, before parting ways with the family for good. Subscribe and hit that like button to help our channel grow. Turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.